to Instagram. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live. I am really excited about tonight's episode being all about desensitization because I think that this is a really complex issue. It's a really complex subject. It's something that I see a lot of. It's something that is used pretty much everywhere now. It used to be kind of like a horsemanship thing, and now we're seeing it a lot more in regular or traditional training circles. So there's a lot of desensitization out there, and as I said in my title, there's the good, the bad and the ugly, as it is in my opinion, of course. Hi Hillary, hi Rachel, thanks for joining, thanks for commenting. And I'm looking forward to sharing my philosophies in regards to desensitization and what, there's schools of thoughts out there. We should be doing it, we shouldn't be doing it, we should be doing more of it, we should be doing less of it, it's a waste of time, it's shutting horses down, it's making horses confident. From one end of the spectrum to the other, there's an opinion about desensitization. So I'm hoping to clear it up a little. I'm hoping to share with you my philosophy on desensitization and why I think that it is something beneficial that we can have in regards to our horses. So please go ahead and click that share or watch button, or I don't know what your screen looks like, but if you can go ahead and share it and let people know who might be interested, because the reach can be a little bit difficult in regards to Facebook sometimes. So firstly, I wanted to just talk about the language that we use when it comes to desensitization, and it's a word that we've been using forever, desensitization, and it's one that I have struggled with for a long time. It's one that I know a lot of trainers struggle with because it's kind of got a negative connotation to it. It's desensitizing, it's taking something away from the horse, and that's really not the object of it. That's not what we're trying to do. Desensitization is all about really educating the horse, sensitizing the horse to different stimuli and helping the horse learn a behavioral reaction that is beneficial to them, primarily beneficial to us, of course, keeping us safe. Horses are instinctive animals, and in their world something spooks them and they shy, and that is what has helped them survive for thousands and thousands of years, and we still have them today to interact with and ride and all that sort of stuff. The other side of that coin is, yes, it has helped them survive because they react first, ask questions later, but particularly in our domestic horse circles, the issue with that is that reactivity sometimes sends them into a fence, it sometimes sends them into an obstacle or something that wouldn't necessarily be there in the wild. And certainly in the wild they would probably be very familiar with the ground that they're on and therefore able to navigate that territory. And that's why you see, I think, horses, domestic horses, if you put them into a new paddock, sometimes they can cause themselves some injury before they get familiar with that paddock. And I know that I've got a new horse, Millie, and I put her out in my herd and they all settled. Wednesday was fine, Thursday was fine, over the weekend was fine, and then on Monday she caused herself a little bit of an injury. So I took all the precautions I possibly could. I made sure the paddock was slashed before she went in there so the grass was short and she could absolutely see all the fences and obstacles and things like that. And a friend of mine actually mentioned that she saw her playing with another one of the herd members, and I think that it wasn't even her necessarily spooking that caused the issue. I think she was probably playing, not very familiar with the paddock, and I think she's fallen over a bank or something like that. She's got quite, she's got lacerations all over her chest. She does have one reasonable sized injury, so she is now currently in my backyard receiving medical attention. And she's going to be fine, absolutely no worries at all, but she is, I think she's been in Lantana or something like that, which surrounds our kind of riverbank, because the injuries are not consistent with her being in a fence or something like that. There's just too many scratches and things like that. So, I took all the precautions that I possibly could, and, one of our more experienced horses in that paddock could well have hurt themselves. I'm sure we've all experienced one time or another where our own horses that are familiar with the paddock, you know, trip into something or injure themselves in some way. So you can't protect them from everything, but what we can do, and what the point of desensitization, in my opinion, always has been to try and develop a horse that is less reactive, a thinking horse, a calm horse that assesses situations before they react or within their reaction. So that brings me to the good. Good desensitization builds a confident, happy horse who is present, and that's one of the vital things that I'm going to talk about here tonight. A horse that is able to problem solve and think through situations calmly and even respond in a desired way. And when I say desired way, that's our desire, because nature tells the horse just to run, and that works pretty well for them. So when I say in a desired way, the human desired way, where we want them to be able to see that fence or tree that they're running towards and make a decision to avoid that fence or tree or what have you. Initially, the horse will learn to copy your body language, so the horse will mimic you and not be afraid of you when you're doing the desensitization. So initial desensitization or sensitization techniques are generally when we're exposing the horse to something like a flag or a stick and string or a handheld whip or something that we're going to use as a tool that's going to help us train them. Typically, desensitization falls into that category, but of course we have desensitized a foal, for example, to a halter and a lead and ropes touching them. I mean, those of you that have had the opportunity to work with foals will know that a foal will be reactive to simply the rope, the material of the rope, because it's a strange sensation that they're not used to, and you have to desensitize them or sensitize them to that rope. If you're doing the techniques correctly, the horse will become confident overall, not just when the exercises are being performed. So I see this a lot where, you know, we might be doing an exercise where we might be throwing a rope around, or a stick and string, or a plastic bag on a stick, or you know what, a hose. It doesn't matter what the thing is, and the person will go, yep, look at my horse, he's absolutely fine. He's totally desensitized, or I can do this to him and he doesn't react to the flag, and it's all good. And then you find that the horse is spooky, he is flighty, he's not a calm, confident, happy horse in other areas. And so, you know, this brings me to the bad, I guess. Not that I like to use those languages, but, you know, obviously I use this for the title. So it brings me to the bad. If the desensitization techniques that you have used have created a horse that is nervous, and all-round nervous, and remains to be nervous about the flag, about the tools that you're using, about whatever it is that you're trying to expose him to, then something's going wrong with your desensitization techniques, something's going wrong with your timing or how you're presenting the things to the horse. If you're producing a horse that is shut down and then reactive, so a horse that kind of holds himself together and then pooh, explodes when he can't hold himself together anymore. A horse that remains flighty and spooky at external things, so not necessarily, like I say, I see a lot of people going, oh, look, he's fine with the flag. I can put the flag all over his body. It's not a problem. He's excellent, etc., etc. And then, we're riding around the arena and the horse is spooking at a bit of bunting or a plastic bag that blows across the arena or something like that. The whole point of sensitization, desensitization, exposure training, the old breakers used to call it sacking a horse out, those sorts of things. The whole point of these techniques is to create a horse that's not reactive. So if you've got a horse that's reactive, and you can stand there and in one hand say, oh, look, he's totally fine with the flag and this and this and this, but then the horse is spooking out on the trail and he's spooking at things and he's not okay, then that tells me that the technique that you're using is not effective. Or, before everyone messages me and tells me that, they're using the techniques of the best horsemen in the world, you're not applying them effectively. So some techniques are not good and don't work for the horses, and some people are not applying techniques in a correct way. And so before people start going, oh, you know, I use such and such techniques and they're not working for me, and so they must be crap, we need to look in the mirror and make sure that we're applying those techniques in the way that they were designed to be applied by the person who made them up or interpreted them or taught them to you or something. Because I see that a lot as well. If you've got a horse that falls under that category, I'm going to talk a little bit later about certain things that you can do to try and help the horse, you know, come through the other side of this, and you're still able to use the techniques or use correct techniques to help the horse become confident. The ugly version of desensitization is building a horse that is shut down, disengaged from what it is that you're doing, a horse that has given up. Okay, so I do unfortunately get to see this, and it's not something that I personally am teaching, and it's not something that I personally am interested in creating. I know that there are certain techniques, programs, trainers, whatever umbrella, whatever word you want to use it, that are actually teaching these techniques for the purpose of having a horse that I would call a robot horse. I'm not interested in having a robot horse, but I'm well aware that there are certain people that are interested in having a robot horse, and I won't go into that now. A horse that is in learned helplessness, this is called learned helplessness. A horse that is in learned helplessness will appear to accept anything that is thrown at him without reaction. These are the horses that people will say, I can do anything to him, I can throw anything at him and he's perfectly fine. Now I say that about my own horse. Cooper is like that, but he's not in learned helplessness. He's a present, engaged, confident horse that will, from time to time, even though those times are very far apart, he will from time to time tell me that he's not comfortable with something. So even though I've got a horse that's confident and a thinking horse and a horse that is not reacting but acting, I don't want a reactive horse, I want an active horse. Even though I've got a horse like that, there are going to be occasions where he says to me, I'm not really okay with this situation. And that is exactly what I want, because then that gives me the opportunity to say to him, okay, Cooper, you're not okay with this situation, but I'm going to help you through this situation. And Cooper gets to get his little black book out, and he gets to say, 25th of January 2019, I was frightened of this, and my owner Tanja helped me through it, and I'm going to put that in the black book under the positive comments section. So that little black book of Cooper's is getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter because I've owned him for so long, and I've taken him to so many places, and I've exposed him to so many things that he's probably, if I sat down and thought about it, he probably could have a list of 100 things that I have exposed him to, or 200 things, or 300 or 500 things, whatever it is. Comparatively to Millie, my new horse, she doesn't have very many things written in her book at all. She's only been here for a month, so she hasn't had the opportunity to write in that little book, I was worried about this, but Tanja showed me how to deal with it, da-da-da. So obviously the horse that is been exposed to more things in the correct way, a horse that's been exposed to more things is going to be the horse that is more confident and a good partnership horse, which is what we're trying to build over time, a partnership horse. So Cooper is very much my partnership horse. Millie is very much a young green colt, and I've got other horses that are, you know, in between somewhere. So it is reflected in my interactions with Millie at the moment, because she doesn't trust me, not because I've done anything to make her distrust me, but we haven't had the time together for her to trust me. What is happening with her is, while I'm treating her for this injury that she's got, she is having to trust me, but I'm also having to approach her in a different way than I would approach Cooper. Because even though Cooper would probably say, oh, I don't like what you're doing because it's hurting me, because we've spent so much time together and he's my partnership horse, he'd go, obviously you're doing it for a reason, so I'm going to stand here patiently while you do it. Millie is saying, I really don't want you to do that, and I don't see a reason why I should stand still. So she's not at that level of partnership yet. So it's just taking a different approach and a different, it's just taking a different level of skills to help treat her for the little wounds that she's got. So a horse that is in learned helplessness is not accepting of or even tolerant of the stimulus. He has actually learnt that nothing he does will make it stop in any way that makes logical sense to him. So he ends up getting himself into a place where he will just put up with it. He will just stand there and let you do whatever it is that you're going to do. He'll go away to his you know, in the distance, he'll shut himself down and try and think about something else until you just leave him alone. So this is a horse that can be confused with a quiet horse, can be confused with a partnership horse, but what he's learnt to do is have a coping mechanism of being shut down like I say, it's not tolerating, but he's essentially tolerating what it is that you're doing. So how do we tell? How do we tell the difference? The major thing that we need to do is watch the horse's body language. I cannot stress this enough, and it is a massive, massive part of my clinics, and obviously you guys are seeing it now on my talks. It's a huge thing that we focus on because body language goes beyond the basics. It goes beyond the feet. And what I hear a lot of people saying, particularly in regards to desensitization techniques, is my horse is fine with it, he's just standing there. Don't confuse your horse's freeze mechanism or your horse's shutdown mechanism with acceptance or tolerance of what it is. And I don't want my horses to tolerate things either, but you may have to go through a period of tolerance if it's something that's necessary. So right now, I'm trying really hard to build trust with Millie, but when I'm treating wounds and giving her an injection and you know, trying to do things on sore spots, she's having to tolerate certain things. She's not standing there and going, oh yeah, this is totally great, I love it, because it's not the kind of desensitization that I would prefer to have been doing with her. But because I can't step away, I can't back off, I can't say, oh, don't worry, Millie, I just won't medicate you today. Don't worry, Millie, we just won't treat your wounds today. It's not optional. So she's going to have to suck it up and tolerate it a little bit, and there are certain circumstances where that is the case, obviously, when it comes to medicine or veterinary applications or safety applications. What I want to do is educate myself and be able to watch my horse's body language so I can tell from his eye, so I can tell from his facial expression, so I can tell through the tension or lack of tension throughout his body. It's not just about what his feet are doing, and this is what I find the biggest mistake that I see in desensitization is, oh look, my horse stands there while I flap this flag all over him. And as soon as I say to the person, can you walk the horse and flap the flag? 9 times out of 10, it's no longer an option. Because when you start moving your horse and that little part of his brain triggers over into movement, he goes, I can't tolerate this anymore, I'm going to react. So that's a really good test, and I'm not saying go out there and start, you know, chasing the horses around with flags, but if your horse is good at desensitization, if your horse is accepting, or you think he's accepting a flag, whatever it is you've been desensitizing, if you can't ask him to walk and trot and lope around you, and that builds over time, please do not just go out tomorrow and start loping him around and throwing flags at him, because you will scare him. But over time, you should be able to build to the horse's acceptance of the stimulus at all the gates. And that's the biggest problem that I see within desensitization or sensitization or whatever technique you want to call it today. So how to make sure that you're doing the good. Watch the horse's body language and continue to educate yourself on horse's body language to ensure that he remains present and to ensure that you are able to read how the horse is feeling about the stimulus. Watch the horse's body language to ensure that your timing is correct. We tend to focus on not releasing until the feet have done the right thing, and the release could have come a lot sooner than that. So just because the horse is still walking but he may have lowered his head, or he may have been blinking, or he may be licking and chewing, or he may soften in his body. Maybe you can remove the stimulus at that moment and build to the point where he feels comfortable enough to stop his feet. Little by little is the best formula. Stop doing sacking out or saturation desensitization. That is the fast track way to learned helplessness. Okay, holding a horse in place and just doing all this stuff to him and then walking away is your fast track to getting that horse to shut himself down and just freeze and not respond. Don't be afraid to walk away or break it down into smaller steps. One of the biggest issues that human beings do is we get task focused. So we go, right, I'm going to desensitize my horse to the flag today. I want to touch him on the body with the flag. I don't want him to move his feet. And I want to, I want to be able to flap the flag everywhere. And what we don't realise is that could take a week or a month. It doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is that we are watching our horse's body language and we're saying, oh, he's confident now. I'm going to release it. He's confident now. Reward the confidence, not the feet. And don't be afraid to do it step by step. Maybe just walking out the paddock with the flag is going to be enough to make him go, oh. And then when he lowers his head and starts coming towards you, you can go, yep, walk away. Don't need to do any more than that today. Stop getting task focused. Stop being worried about getting the job done, so to speak. Build the exercises so they are growing in expectation, okay? So what I mean by that is move beyond standing still, move beyond the little light, the other thing that I see people doing is sneaking around their horses. Oh, he's okay with the flag. Oh, he's okay with the flag. He's not okay with the flag. You're making sure that the flag doesn't flap and you're making sure that nothing's going, big for him, which is great on the introduction. But I want to get to the point where I can, really swing that stock whip around and make it make the noise and all that sort of stuff as well. Break the exercises down into sensory stimulus. So do singular sensory stimulus one at a time. So if you're exposing your horse to something like a spray bottle, be aware that the spray bottle makes a sound, auditory. It smells funny, so you've got olfactory. It touches him, so you've got kinesthetic when the spray touches him. You've got visual of the spray bottle itself, and then you're probably going to be introducing taste because of the smell. You're not necessarily going to spray the spray bottle in his mouth, but with him smelling it, he's probably going to taste it as well. So that's a lot for a horse to take in all at once. This thing's pointing at me, it's making a funny noise, it touches me, and it smells and tastes funny. That's pretty big. So you could break that down into little by little steps and get him used to the container, and then get him used to the sound, and then get him used to that the water touches him, and then get him used to the smell and taste. Move the feet. That's the final thing that I'm going to share with you. The two final things I'm going to share with you. Move the feet. No, three things. Move the feet and make sure that you can apply the desensitization techniques with the feet moving and standing still. Don't go too big and don't sneak around the horse and be too small. Okay, don't be too big, don't be too small. Number 3, educate yourself as to the horse's body language. So you are really trying hard to have that communication, to have that conversation with the horse about exposing him to these things, all right? It's not just about, I want you to accept this, so bang. This is about, hey, I want you to be confident in this so it lasts a lifetime. I see horses that are 15 years old that still can't stand still for a spray bottle, won't stand still to be hosed, won't stand still to be rugged. These are issues because the owner hasn't bothered to take the time to, 1, take the time to sensitize the horse to that procedure. 2, the owner's got poor timing, and so the timing is rewarding the horse at the wrong time, or the timing is scaring the horse and causing the issue to remain an issue. Or the owner hasn't bothered to educate themselves about the body language and how to apply the correct timing in regards to exposing these different things. So, to recap, the good desensitization or sensitization that we're looking for. I don't want to desensitize my horse. I want my horse present. I want to be able to touch my horse and ask him to move. I want to be able to touch my horse and ask him to stand still. It's about a conversation. So it's about exposing my horse and making him confident. The good desensitization builds a confident, happy horse who is present and engaged and knows what is going on at all times. It is not about the horse putting his head down and going, okay, spray me with that bottle, I don't care whatever it is that you have to do. I want my horse going, oh, you're spraying me with a bottle. I'm here, that's fine with me. I want him accepting and confident and happy. Be all right with assessing your own horse and maybe thinking to yourself, this isn't working for me. I do have a nervous, spooky horse. I do have a shut-down horse. I do have a flighty or spooky horse, even though I've done tons of desensitization techniques. Because the first step in actually getting to the good is realizing that maybe the techniques or the timing that you're using is not beneficial for either that particular horse or any horses. It doesn't really matter. Once we know that the techniques aren't working, we can start to explore our options and look around at different options that might help. So, thank you so much for joining me. I can see someone has written that he's on from Argentina. They're on from Argentina, which is really cool. That's exciting. And there's someone there from Western Australia. Thank you so much for joining. And I can see a lot of familiar names. Hi, Amy, Rachel, Mattias, Rachel, again, 2 Rachels. Diane, Hillary, Alexis, and Joe, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Please go ahead and tag someone in the comments if you think that this would be an interesting video for them to watch. And please send in any topics that you'd like to see me cover on Wednesday Night Live or on our new show, Q&A Tuesday, which is a short 5-minute show. And I have been keeping it to 5 minutes. I'm sure that those of you who watch the Wednesday Night Lives have been very impressed with the Q&A Tuesday. I'm certainly impressed with myself in able to answer questions in under 5 minutes. So it's all happening here. I've got some more new things in the works for Tanja Kraus Horsemanship. I'm super excited for you guys, and I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you all soon. We're hosting Jane Clothier for a 2-day bodywork basics and off-the-track thoroughbred course in about 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks. So if anyone wants information on that, please let me know. It's here in Glenray, New South Wales. And of course, our next clinic is Feel, Timing and Balance. There are a couple of rider spots there. And then I'm off to the United States to train with A-Time, which I'm really excited about. And I'm also holding 2 clinics while I'm there. So I'm sure I'll see you guys around the traps, and I'm looking forward to it. Hope you're having a great week.